Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be doing another side-by-side stage breakdown, but this week I'm going to be competing versus myself. Let me explain. Recently, the Sauer Academy had sort of a mini major match, different format than usual. It was called the Carry Optics Showdown. How it worked was that all competitors shot all 6 stages of the match in the morning. Then the top 12 competitors competed in a shoot-off of the same 6 stages in the afternoon, where every stage, the 2 lowest performing competitors were dropped from the match until there was only 2 remaining competitors on the final stage. Well, I'm happy to say that I managed to make it into the shoot-off, and I made it to the second round, which to me is pretty impressive because we had 6 GMs. There were some big name shooters there. Mason Lane was there, Mike Pan and others, Phil Strader. And it was an impressive group of people that made it into the shootout. So there was a lot of extra pressure to perform in that shootout. And I want to compare my performance on stage 1 in the morning to my performance on stage 1 in the afternoon, because I managed to shave a 1.5 seconds off of my time in the afternoon, and I wanted to figure out why. So I'm going to be breaking down side-by-side comparison and trying to figure out what worked and what didn't. So with that being said, let's watch my performance from the morning, and then we'll talk about it, and then we'll watch them side by side. Okay, so that was my run from the morning. You can see that I got a time of 18:23 with 18 alphas and 2 charlies for a hit factor of 5.26. Now I want to give you a bird's eye view of what it is that I was trying to accomplish on this stage. So I have the stage diagram here, and you can see that you have to start here with your feet touching the start stick. My goal was to go from the start stick back out of this position, engage this first target, come around the corner into the window, engage these 2 targets here, then move across to this second position and engage these 2 targets, move up into the final position and engage these 4 targets, performing my reload from the window over to the second position, not counting the start position. So if you could tell on the video, I didn't quite follow that stage plan. I ended up shooting this target from the window as well. And what ended up happening was, because it wasn't part of my plan, I ended up engaging it again from the final position. So that certainly cost me some time. Now let's watch my run in the afternoon and see what's different.
Hey, Mason.
Fifth finish, unload, show clear.
Okay, so there were some clear differences there, and let me explain to you what I had in mind. So I ended up getting a time of 16:61, so roughly a 1.5 seconds shaved off from my time there. And I also had a lower score, so I had 14 alphas, 5 charlies, and 1 delta for a total hit factor of 517. Now that was still good enough to get me into the second round, but it wasn't as good as my score from the morning, which was interesting to me, even though I had a better time. So there's definitely advantages in my stage planning that allowed me to shave off some time, but the added pressure of being in the shootout and wanting to perform at a higher level cost me some points. So I want to really talk about like what went well and what didn't go well. So going back to the diagram, the difference in my stage planning came watching some of the higher performers in the shootout and seeing a slight tweak that they had on my plan that I thought I should adopt last minute, and it ended up paying off in time, right? So from the start position here, engage this partial, which is about 10 yards closer than engaging it through the window. And then when you get to the window, just engaging this single target that has to be taken from the window. So you could see that on the break, I engage this target, then this target, move around the window, engage this single target, and then the rest of the stage plan is virtually identical. One key difference, though, is that one of these targets is much closer to the center in the final actual stage, and I took that on my entrance to the final position rather than waiting to get in position and then working from left to right like I did in the morning. So I think those two differences really saved me some time. Also, not taking a target twice definitely factored into that as well. What didn't factor into it was my perceived intensity on the second run. Like I said before, I felt like there was a lot of pressure to perform. And after running it in the afternoon, I felt like I had put more energy into my performance and I'd been more aggressive. But as you're going to see in a little bit, the intensity, the perceived intensity that I had in my performance wasn't much of a game changer. So let's watch it side by side and you can tell me what you think in the comments really stood out to you. So I think you could see there that taking the single target from the window really saved me a lot of time from that position. It took me longer to shoot that partial in the corner from the window because I really wanted to avoid a no-shoot. I didn't have an entire target available to me, so I really had to focus on keeping control of the gun and shooting in a really controlled manner to make sure that I got those hits. Also, not trying to pick up that other target from the back that I did the first time definitely shaved off a lot of time there. Okay, so now I want to break down some key parts of the stage analysis that I think really stood out to me. So you can see here that I tried to back out of the start position while engaging that first target in my run during the morning. And I thought gaining a few extra steps while I was shooting was going to save me a significant portion of time. And then in the afternoon, having to take that partial from that position, I wasn't as aggressive on my exit because I wanted to make sure that I got good hits. What's interesting about this is I've lined up the videos so I exit that position at the exact same time. And you're going to see in a moment what that looks like. So you can see there that the amount of time that I saved by taking those few extra steps on the exit is kind of negligible, right? Like we're talking about maybe 0.2 of a second, maybe 0.3, which could be significant, but you're going to see in a moment how quickly I'm able to exit from the window and move to the next array because I spent more time in the start position was actually the smarter move. So you could see there that I was able to exit that second or first position after the start position much quicker than I did in the morning. Now, I've synced up my exit from the window as well, so we can see if there was a difference in time due to my intensity in the afternoon trying to get to that next position. Well, there you go. It's virtually the same. So even though in the afternoon I felt very winded after my run, and I felt like I was putting more intensity into my maneuvering around the stage, there's really not a lot of time that's picked up in the movement. Most of the time that I picked up had to do with my difference in strategy. The other thing that I think is important is realizing that the perceived intensity that I was applying during the second run is probably what caused me to get a delta and a couple Charlies. I was rushing my shots, trying to shorten my time as much as possible, and that's really not where I needed to be saving time. I just needed to be saving time by economizing my movement around the stage and planning as smart as I could. You can see here on the afternoon, I do start to exit this second position a little bit more aggressively than the first. And then we'll see in a second, my entrance is more aggressive as well. So gun up into position sooner, and I start to engage before I'm finally stopped. Over on the first one, I'm just getting my gun up after I've started engaging in the afternoon in comparison. And I wait to get into this position because I want to take this partial in the corner and work left to right, versus in the afternoon, I want to take this open target first and then work left to right. So right there, I think that aggressive entrance into that position was also a smart move. In the morning, I ended up engaging one of those targets a second time because it wasn't part of my stage plan to engage it earlier. That cost me a lot of time as well. So at the end of the day, even though I managed to shave off a lot of time, because of the pressure I was putting on myself to perform and the intensity of wanting to compete in the shootout, I ended up getting a lower score. It was still a good enough score to make it to the next round, but it certainly wasn't ideal. Now, if I could combine both the score from the morning in points versus with my time in the afternoon, what I would have ended up getting is a hit factor of 5.77, which would have been good enough to get me in second place overall for that stage. So the lesson that I really learned from this match is that smart stage planning really is a difference maker. And then the perceived intensity that you're putting into a match isn't going to be what wins the day. This really is a sport about finesse. If you're trying to force yourself to be faster and you're trying to muscle yourself into performing at a higher level, you're going to make more mistakes and you're going to get lower points. That's how you get mics. That's how you get no shoots. That's how you get deltas, right? So if I had kept the same calm focus that I had in the morning and applied it to my stage plan that I had adjusted for the afternoon, I think I really would have crushed this stage. I still did fairly well, but there's definitely room for improvement there. So if there's anything that you saw that you think I should have mentioned, let me know in the comments. I also want to hear if there's things that you saw me do that you'd like me to explain more. I'd be happy to talk about that in the comments. Otherwise, just tell me what you thought and if you want to see more of this. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.